Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We'll go right to questions, and we've got Mark Brennan first, and new guys, will warn you're on deck.
Hey, James, I just wanted to say happy birthday to Ben first. And
it's Ben Jones's birthday?
Yep.
Hey, happy birthday, Ben. How old is Ben, Mark?
I think he's like 45. I'm joking. He's much younger than that.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Hey, James, I've had a lot of people ask me this question, and I wanted to throw it over to you. How much of an issue has the fogged glasses thing been for you? Has it actually been a legitimate problem? Have you got a lot of free advice, and has any of it worked, and are contacts not an option? Thank you.
Sorry about that. I was muted. So it was an issue, I think, earlier in the year, just more from a annoyance standpoint. But I've just kind of gotten used to it now. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've now added surgical tape on top of the mask, which has been helpful until you try to take it off at the end of the day. But you know, it is what it is. You know, no one really cares, but I got astigmatism. So early on when I tried to wear contacts, I had a hard time doing it. So I've never really wore contacts since. I've always been glasses. Then I wanted to get LASIX, and my wife wouldn't let me get LASIX because she said, I like you with glasses. That's how I know you. So I try to keep her happy. And it is what it is, but it's part of, I know talking to our doctors, Wayne and those guys, they've been dealing with it as well. They haven't found solutions. I've been sent different things to put on your glasses. I've been told about things that you put on car windows. I've had different cloths. I've tried it all, and I'll probably get some more suggestions after this. There was some type of dish detergent that I was told. I tried that. I haven't found anything except the tape has been the best thing that I've done here recently. I started that on Sunday or Monday, I think. So again, long answer to a question probably, you know, people really don't want to hear about, but I appreciate the question.
Tobias Wilborn, and then the birthday boys on deck.
Yeah, my question isn't as fun as that, Coach, and shout out to Ben on his birthday as well. But last week you guys tackled harder than I think I've seen all season, particularly the way you guys played an offensive and defensive line. How much of that is just you guys finally just being in a good place as a team to play as tough as you'd like?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of, I think, starting out well and building confidence. You know, I think obviously some guys are really, you know, starting to play the way we think they're capable of playing. You know, I think part of it is some guys getting healthy that have been battling through some nagging injuries. I think that's part of it as well. I think it's a number of things, but I do agree with you. I thought we played well. I thought we had a good plan going into that week. We thought we had some tendencies that would allow our guys to play with confidence, kind of anticipating what was coming. I think it was a combination of all those things, you know. So to answer your question.
Ben Jones and Audrey, you're on deck.
Hey, James, how's it going?
Happy birthday. How old are you?
I am 32. And since it's my birthday, technically you have to answer whatever I ask.
Don't I always?
So, yeah. So I'm just going to ask about injuries and nothing but injuries. I know you're focused on Saturday, but how do you kind of prepare for all the variables that you don't know about next week in terms of time and place and opponent? How much of like a run-up planning-wise can you do right now for that?
Yeah, that's been the challenge, and I don't think it's right, to be honest with you. You know, what I was told a week ago is that the West teams were all going to come to the East because this is the year to do it. And next year we're going to have to travel, I think, you guys know this, but I don't know if all the fans know this. Every other year it's 5 and 4 home and away. So what we were told was that next week was, since we weren't going to go to the neutral sites, the domes, that it would be home games for the East this year, because next year it'll be the opposite. And then I heard today that may be changing, which I don't think is right. And then on top of it, there's still a lot of stadiums where parents can travel. And it sure would be nice to be able to tell the parents so they can make plans to be able to get to games. I don't think that's right. So, I think there's some frustration about it. I did talk to some other coaches in the league. I did talk to Sandy about it. The fact that the game's next week and we still really don't know, and we were told one thing last week and now it's different, is a little bit of a concern. Obviously, like to your point, we're focused on Michigan State, but I do, based on what I was told last week was, home games for the East. I think that makes sense. So again, it's 2020. We're focused on today. We're focused on Michigan State and the things that we can control. Obviously, I don't control that. But I would like to be able to tell my parents, what's going on so they can make plans. And I don't think it's right that you could be going on the road more times 2 years in a row. I don't see how that makes sense.
Audrey Snyder, Tyler Donahue, you're on deck.
Hey, James. I wanted to, going off of Ben's point, since it is his birthday, when you said about those games, is Friday still a possibility as far as you know? I know you're not a fan of Friday games, but is that still on the table as far as you know?
Yeah, I'm not typically a fan of Friday games because of high school football in the state of Pennsylvania. Obviously, this is a much different year. But yeah, that's the other problem is, we don't know where the games are. We don't know who you're playing. And then on top of that, they're saying that there's a possibility the games could be Friday and Saturday. So.
Tyler Donahue, Elton Hayes, you're on deck.
Yeah, let's stick with the Big Ten and the end of this season, James.
Trying to get me in trouble.
Yeah, maybe. Curious what you think about the decision today to alter the rules, opening the door for Ohio State to get into that Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, I have opinions that go all the way back to the year that we won the Big Ten championship. But again, I'm focused on Michigan State. I do believe that it is the right thing to do to make sure that the best team in the Big Ten is in the Big Ten championship games on the East side and on the West side, especially if there are things that are outside of their control. I do believe that. I do believe that's the right thing to do for our conference.
Elton Hayes, and then Gabe and Jerry.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well this evening. Coach, I wanted to ask you about Parker Washington. I'll bring it back to a football question here. We were talking to Sean yesterday, and he mentioned to us that with everything that went on this spring and summer, he didn't really throw to the new guys, Keandre, Parker, until like July, I believe he was saying. Parker's really seemed to have caught on well to this offense. You were very complimentary toward him, heading into the season. I was wondering if there's a point this year during the season where it all just seemed to kind of click and come together for him.
Yeah, to your point that you made, early in your question was, a lot of our seniors didn't get to know, the upperclassmen didn't get to know the young guys like they normally would, with full team summer workouts with them all out there together. So it was different from that standpoint, especially, we did split practices longer than I think almost anybody. Which I think has helped us from a health perspective. But Parker, there'd been a buzz about him kind of for a while, but it depended on what group you were in. So if Sean wasn't in the same group as Parker and Keandre with how the team was divided, then he would never have gotten a chance to work out with them, because we had very strict rules in that you could only run and you could only throw and you could only practice with your lift groups. So we had everything broken up so we could reduce the contact tracing and we could reduce the chance of a possible spread. So it made situations like that where those guys would like to get together and throw, but they couldn't if they weren't in the same groups. And obviously coming into the season with those guys, you didn't know who was going to be ready mentally, who was going to be ready physically, who was going to be ready emotionally, to make sure that they were matched up with the right, with the right people. You didn't know that, Parker and Keandre were going to end up being starters for us this year. You didn't know Theo was going to end up playing, and Keziah and Keandre and those guys were going to play. So they didn't get to work together at all because they were in a different group. So when it kind of clicked, it was until we got into a traditional full team practice, which that didn't happen for us for a long time. And the area probably was the biggest challenge is on special teams, because you can practice on offense and you can practice on defense and split practices, but you can't do special teams practices. So that was one of the biggest challenges, because you got to pull the whole team together on special teams to get that work in. So that was a big discussion point with Coach Lorig, is how are we going to get our special teams work without ever practicing as a team.
Got time for two more. We'll go with Gabe and Jerry, and then Nate Bauer will have the last one.
Hey, James, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. What have you seen from your secondary over the past couple?
Gabe, you're like the only guy that didn't say happy birthday to Ben. Would you mind?
I'm sorry. Happy birthday, Ben.
Okay.
My bad.
Thank you.
Over the past couple of weeks, it seems your secondary's played a little bit better. What have you seen? Seems the big plays have really been limited from you guys.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to what we talked about earlier. I think we had some pretty good, indicators. We had pretty good tendencies of what we thought they were going to do. And I think you got to remember that there was a couple weeks there that we played with only 3 corners. So getting some guys back healthy, I think that factored into it. Having a good plan factored into it. Getting a couple wins and getting some good mojo going, that factored into it. Kind of a combination, of all those things. And a lot of those guys that kind of were inexperienced guys, Joey Porter and Hardy were experienced guys. They've gotten to play a lot of football, and you get better. And typically you're able to do that over time, kind of throughout the season, sprinkle it in. And we were obviously forced into a different scenario.
Last question to Nate Bauer.
Hey, James.
Hi, Nate.
I'm not wishing Ben a happy birthday.
Okay, but you brought it up though. As long as you make reference to it, that you're either not going to do it or you are doing it, that's fine. Yeah. Gabe just kind of blew him off completely. So
it exists. I'm just not about it.
That's fair.
Hey, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yesterday, you seemed to suggest some concern, I guess, for the true freshman class, the guys that aren't playing, and how they're kind of handling and navigating all of this. I'm just curious if you can gauge their progress as a class through this year, as opposed to where they might stack up under a normal timeline.
Yeah, I see it all over college football, and I'm talking to my buddies at other schools and other places. I guess what I was trying to say yesterday is if you're a senior and you're going through this, you can at least lean on the experiences that you've already had. You've had the whiteout game. You've had the Fiesta Bowl championship. You've had a Friday in this town when the town is buzzing, and we're going to the hotel and the RV lots are packed, and hugging your mom before the game and tailgating after the game, and the spring game was 70,000 people, and and the laughing and the having a pool party as a football team, or going to the movies as a team, or all these, the picture day we do as a family in the stadium with all the families, I think you guys are a part of that media day where the families all come. There's just so many wonderful experiences that these guys are able to have, that I'm able to be a part of, that my family's able to be a part of, that although this has been hard for the seniors for it to be like this, they at least have something to lean back on. And if you're a freshman and your only experience as a Penn State student and as a Penn State student athlete is this, or even as a sophomore, and 50% of your experience at Penn State has been this, it's challenging. It's challenging. Having the guys over to my house for dinner with my wife and kids. I remember going upstairs one day. We got a little playroom on the second floor with like video game. I remember going up there, and Addie and Shola were younger. This was 5-6 years ago, and they got the guys dressed up in princess outfits, and they're playing video games, and they're putting makeup on them. And I know that sounds silly, but that stuff goes a long ways. And these freshmen have gotten none of that. They haven't gotten a home cooked meal at my house. And maybe it's different because of how I lead and how we do things as a family, and how we, my daughters come into the building, they go down the training room and they hug all the guys that are in there getting treatment and ask them how they are. So I guess what I'm saying is it's just a very different experience. And as much as I try to tell them, it's hard. And their families aren't here, and and their families can't come. We had a discussion about the banquet, the end of the year banquet, and the families, can't come to the end of the year banquet. So yeah, Nate, I want our guys to have a great academic experience at Penn State. I want them to have a great football experience at Penn State. I want them to have a great social experience. I don't want their social experience to be as good as their academic experience and their football experience, because you can't be an All-American in all three, but I still want them to have fun. I still want them to have a great experience, no different than you did and Audrey did and everybody, that went to Penn State. I want them to have that. And right now, none of those things exist. But what I try to remind everybody is, when I talk to my buddies across the country in college football, everybody's dealing with this. So we have to deal with it. We've got to make the best of it, and we got to stick together, and we got to work hard, and we got to find a way to get a win this Saturday and build on it. And I can't wait to take this thing off so they can see my face and my emotion, and I hug them. And when I used to punch Trace McSorley in the chest, and then he punched me back the one time and bruised my chest. And I want people to see my emotion. I want people to see my passion. I want people to see my face, and I want to see theirs, and I want to hug, and I want to do all that. And people need that. People need that. Our players need that. The community needs that. I need that. I need to be in there on Wednesday and have Audrey asking me tough questions. I want to be in there and Ben asking me, some outside the box questions. We all need it. And I know it's going to come back at some point, and we just all got to stick together and fight through this. And one of the things we talked about today in the team meeting is we can't stop taking moments to think about our blessings and the things that we're appreciative of. And even in these times, the things that we still got to believe in and got to be excited about. Being appreciative is important. I know I'm preaching right now, but I know Audrey hates this stuff. But But that was a long answer. So.
Well, we'll end on that one. So happy birthday, Ben, and thanks, Coach.
Hey, Ben, happy birthday. Appreciate you, man. See you guys.